This is the best view you're gonna get. We've just up on the side of the cement wall here. So the trailer would have been right about there, and the barn right there. What's going on, everybody? How you doing today? So here I am in Port Coquitlam, and this is crazy. This is I hadn't planned on doing this video before I came out here, and then I thought about it about a year ago, and now I'm here. I can't believe I'm here. Wow. This is the site of the Pickton farm. Robert Pickton, Canada's most notorious serial killer, one of the world's most notorious serial killers, I would say. And I'm here joined by Jesse, my friend, who knows a lot about the case, grew up in the area, and you were here. Like, I mean, you weren't here when, I'm not saying you're here on the property, but you were living in the town when this all happened. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was in the 2000s when he was arrested, 2002. He killed over, he says, 49 women. They found the remains of 33 women, and he was eventually charged with 26 murders, I believe, and convicted of 6. Mm-hmm. All on this property here. And what's incredible about this property is it's surrounded by suburban houses, a Home Depot right there. And you're saying that all this land behind us this way was owned by the Pickton family.
Yes, and I believe they sold quite a bit back there, right, which is a school now.
Yeah, I saw that school. Yeah, and that was owned by the Pickton family.
I believe so.
Back in the 60s and 70s, the parents sold it, or they sold it in the 80s, I believe. Yeah. But there's 3 children, Robert, David, and Linda. And when the parents died, the 3 children got so much money, they became millionaires, and they were just regular pig farmers. The brothers, the sister, I don't think lived here ever after the parents passed away. But the 2 brothers continued to live here, and they got in a lot of trouble with the city because it was zoned for agriculture, but they stopped pretty much all of that, and they were throwing illegal raves and parties, right?
Apparently, yes.
Yeah. And something called the Piggy Palace is where the parties with Hell's Angels came, and a lot of debauchery would go on there, and women would come to these parties, and they wouldn't leave because Robert Pickton murdered them, and all on this property around. And we're gonna walk around, see what we can show you. It's an odd feeling, eh? You've been out here before, but it's
an odd feeling because I actually have a friend that his actual sister was one of the victims to Pickton, so
that's incredible.
It is a little nerving for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's a hard video to do. I mean, there's just knowing what happened on this property, and it's such a notorious case, and it was huge. It was worldwide headlines. I mean, and he boasted that he wanted to kill 50 women, but he said he got sloppy. He said that in a jailhouse interview. The guy... Wow. Okay, well, let's take a walk around. We're going to show you what we can show you here on the Pickton farm. So as we were just saying, I'm going to show you some aerial views, but where we're walking, this would have been the driveway going in right here. And there would have been trails. It was a mess, right? His property. It was a complete and utter disaster when he lived here. Like a junkyard, like almost. Stuff everywhere. But if I show you the aerial view, you're going to be able to see there was a driveway going in with a circle. And it looks like it'd be right here. And the trailer was right here. And then a barn. And that barn, I believe, is where he murdered most of his victims. Now, many were prostitutes from the east side of Vancouver, correct?
Yes.
And they were strangled. And then what was done to them?
He would pick them up, I believe, at a hotel on the east side, a lot of them. And then he would take them back up here.
Yeah, he invited them either to a party or just pick them. Yeah. Yes. But then he would strangle them, and then he would dismember them. These ladies, these poor victims, and there's some really grotesque elements to this case, to say the least. If you look here, this is where the driveway would have been. It's a kind of a circle, and then goes out that way. And his trailer that he lived in, let's not forget, he had a ton of money, but he lived like a slob. Like he lived like somebody without money. And the barn would have been right about there. And this is from old area views, but this is from where we're standing. And he strangled his victims and then would slaughter them in the barn. And there were body parts found there was remnants of, they found 33 specific DNA from 33 different women on the property. And there is a trail that goes through the property right now, but it's fenced off on either side. It's crazy. Like, these people's backyards are looking out onto this, and there's still some things left here on the property. I'm going to show you right now. I believe
there's like a $10 million lien through the city or something.
Yes, I read something about that too. $10 million is
like this was going to be a memorial site actually for the woman.
Well, doesn't that make sense to you that it should be a memorial site? Like,
that's what they were planning. Yes.
I can't see them doing anything else with it. I mean, it's just.
There was some cow here.
Yeah, I was told that to look for cows by somebody. And look at that old piece of farm machinery there. Do you see that?
It's definitely left.
There's some old farm machinery there. You see there's some old farm machinery there. And a building back there, still on the property. But it's more what's on this side that is the most interesting part and sad. I mean, it's so much stuff is still left here on the property from like the most notorious murder site in Canada.
And what's this? It looks like it's some sort of...
Looks like some people have left some stuff here for the victims, some flowers.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Looks like some people have left some things here for the victims' flowers. I wonder how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 49, one for each victim. Now look at this. I mean, it's just everywhere. Just junk left on the property.
I believe.
And it looks like people have torn down the fence here, but this is an old piece of machinery, some sort of sifter. So we were talking, I wanted to say, listening to podcasts and doing research on him, from an early age, he didn't show signs of being, and I'm going to talk more about the victims afterwards, because I don't like to focus so much on the person, because the horrible human being that he is. But he didn't show signs of being, so he had a I believe it was a pet lamb, and I could be wrong, I believe it was a pet lamb that he loved, and then his father slaughtered to teach him about farm life. And another thing that's crazy is the mother. When David was driving home one night, when the family all lived here on the farm, the brother, you and I were talking about this story earlier, the brother hit a 14-year-old boy on a bike, didn't stop, came home, told his mother. His mother went out to find the boy, didn't help him. She rolled his body into a creek nearby. Huge, massive search for this boy. After a few days, I finally found him, and cause of death was drowning. But he had massive fractures, lacerations, but a fracture of the skull. So word got out, because I believe David had a big mouth about what he did, and word got out in the neighborhood back then that about what the mother had done, and she was ostracized. But it shows that from an early age, he was not taught the value of human life. His parents sound absolutely horrible people. Yeah, there's townhouses right beside it. Like if you look to the right, and there's that barn I just showed you right there. So Jesse, you were telling me, because we both did some research on this, you knew a lot about it. They had something called the Piggy Palace, and that's where they had their parties, right?
Yeah, I believe they had rock bands around the, local rock bands that would play there.
I'm not sure where that house is, because I believe it wasn't on the property.
I believe it's about 10 minutes down the road, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so it's around.
It's closer to the Poco Trail.
Okay. So they had the parties there, not necessarily on the farm.
Yeah, not necessarily here. Mostly at the Piggy's Palace, I believe.
But they had a few different companies, and Bill Hiscox, I believe, was a gentleman who worked for them, and yes. he put it together. He said to the police, a lot of women that come to that farm are never seen again. And by that time, the police are investigating all these missing women from downtown Vancouver. So he kind of put it together for them and said, you got to check out this guy, Robert Pickton. Something's going on at his farm. And the police came and they let him go. So when you think about the enormity of the case and how many women were murdered here at the property, and the Vancouver police at first, 2 women went missing, 3 women went missing. It was being in the sex trade. They were thinking, okay, well, they lead a transient lifestyle. They probably just left town. They didn't do anything about it. But then when more women started missing, they were being, like people were saying this person was, and their friends were reporting. That's when the police moved into action. Could they have moved into action sooner? Yes. Do you think it's because they were sex workers and drug users that maybe that's why they didn't do anything? Like as if they don't care? I don't know if that's the case. But, they're human beings. They're people. And just because you work in the sex industry and just because you're a drug user does not mean that you deserve anything like this. And I've seen stuff like victim shaming about the victims of Robert Pickton. I've seen stuff like that on various websites, and it's disgusting. Like, no, just because you're they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
These poor women. You would think they'd have undercover women downtown, undercover police.
I think it probably started in the earlier years of probably the 90s.
Yeah.
And then it kind of snowballed from there later on.
Right.
And then it got excessive and kind of became an obsession probably.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what happens with any psychotic, but especially serial killers. They start off with, smaller crimes, and they make their way up to bigger crimes, and then it becomes each murder has to be, it's like you said, it's an obsession for them, and they have to do more and act out their fantasies more and more. But look here, this is the main driveway right here that we're at.
These are all parts from there.
Yeah.
Like, clearly, right? Like, look at how old that thing is.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably the sifter, I would imagine. From when there were...
Well, this would be the farm shifter. I don't think the police would leave one out here, right?
Would they?
I don't think so. But these piles of dirt, that's what they dug up. That's what all these...
Yeah.
It was flat land.
Yeah.
And now they're overgrown. And you're saying that the city, maybe a park, maybe a memorial, but I don't know what you do with this land now.
Like, who wants to buy it?
Yeah.
Right?
No, you're not going to build on here. Like, they sold off, but like, what is most on me is like the fact, like I said, the Home Depot, the townhouses, all these suburban houses all around, and right in the middle is this horrific place. Well, this is the best view you're gonna get. We've just up on the side of the cement wall here. So the trailer would have been right about there, and the barn right there. This is absolutely insane. I was gonna say incredible, but incredible implies something else. This is just so sad and scary and creepy and sad. Look at this old wheel and piping on the opposite side. We're just taking some pictures and video from up there. So it looks like people probably jump over and go onto the property, which I don't recommend, which we did not do.
The strangest thing about this is it's a walkway for people.
Yeah, like it's just a path.
Yeah, in between the whole...
Yeah, they've built this like bike path and walk path, and we've seen so many families walking through here. It's just bizarre, right? Like, at this point, if you're gonna build a walkway through it, why not flatten the but you can't, I guess, with all the victims that were here. You got to figure out a way to... What do you do? What do you do? What do you do with this property if you're the city? Now, does David Pickton still own the property?
I believe he does. I believe him and Linda do.
Like, give it away or sell it to the city, and then they gotta, I don't know, but you can't put a park. Because
that's what the plan was.
Yeah, but
they
got to dig all the way down deep, and it sounds macabre, but they have to if they're gonna do something like that, because they didn't. I don't think they found everybody. I don't think so. I mean, it looks like they did a pretty thorough job, but what do? You keep it fenced off maybe for the rest of time, right? I mean, this is a giant it's essentially a cemetery, you know? That's essentially what it is. It's just no gravestones. That's what this is.
That's where the house would have been. Right there.
Which house?
Their homestead. Like the house, the family house would have been.
Was it on that side?
Yes.
So straight ahead.
Straight ahead, it would have been right around there.
All the women that came out here just thinking that it's a job that they're doing, or they're lured here with the promise of drugs, alcohol, a party, a good time. And it's beautiful surroundings. These mountains are incredible. All right, Jesse. Well, thanks for taking me out here. This is I'm never at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words just for seeing this property and reading about it for so many years now, and then to see it. Wow.
That's a big piece of property, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it was much bigger, and they sold it off, and God, that gave him the money and the time to just do whatever the hell he wanted. He's currently in the maximum security prison. What's it called?
Port Cartier?
Yeah.
Port Cartier?
Supermax prison, right?
I believe Luke Magnotta's in there.
Yeah, same one Luke Magnotta's in. But it's a Supermax, but what's it called? It's called
Port Cartier something.
I'll put it on the screen what it's called, where he is now, serving 25-year life sentence. He's not getting out. He's going to die in prison.
He's up for parole in like 2 years, I think.
Yeah, he'll be, yeah. It's incredible. That's Canadian.
Yeah.
That's Canadian law, man. That's how it works. They will, but with the dangers, he's a dangerous offender. He's not getting out. Hope he rots in hell. I hope his cell gets tinier every day. I said that about Russell Williams too, who's another one I despise, and I hope Robert Pickton's cell gets really tiny every day. But a psychotic like that, I don't think he sits there and broods and thinks about what he done and repents and feels sorrow for what he did. I think he's sorry he got caught. Well, rest in peace to the victims. Those innocent women. And yeah, peace and love to you. Peace out.